Hi everyone, I just wanted to connect with you today and share with you a little bit about my intuition program and why I think it's so unique, so different, and why I believe that it's truly needed, especially today with how the world is shifting, what we're dealing with, and really how we're experiencing the collective evolution of humankind and how it's actually affecting us on a personal level. So before I go into that, I really want to ask you a couple of questions. And so, are you someone who knows that you are intuitive, who feels other people's feelings, who perhaps are the rock for everyone else around you? Are you that person that knows and senses, feels, sees, hears information before others do? Right? Are you that person? Are you that person that you know that when you followed your intuition, your life changed for the better? Good things came your way. And when you didn't listen to it, you were like, oh, why didn't I listen to it? Maybe you suffered in some way, perhaps going into the wrong business or dating the person that really didn't align with you, right? So really asking you to feel into, if you are that intuitive being that knows that you have intuition, that perhaps doesn't know how to tap into it regularly or how to really listen, but when you do, it really works out for you. When you don't, well, it's what is it, that quote from one of the actresses says, intuition is a bitch. When I listen to her, she's great, and she's not. I've got hell to pay, or something like that. But I thought it was really funny. And also, maybe some of you are people who were so intuitive as children. Maybe you saw things, felt presence of angels, felt the presence of your guides. And maybe your parents said, hey, stop making things up, or other people or other children. And perhaps you are that intuitive that is shut down, that intuitive that remembers that there was a time in life where you had that connection to nature, to maybe your angels or your dreams or your gut feelings. And because of the way the world has treated you, the way your family perceives intuition, or your society, or even your culture, maybe you've walked away. And so if you're either of these people, or even if someone who believes that you're not intuitive, but yet people tell you that you are, if you're anywhere on this spectrum, I really ask you to take a moment and actually watch the rest of this video, because the information that I'm going to share truly pertains to you. And so, as I said before, my name is Vanessa Codorniu. I am a psychic intuitive. I am a coach and a hypnotherapist. So I'm an intuitive healer and also a biz coach, a business coach. And how did this all come about, right? So I was an intuitive child, just like so many of you. And I actually was lucky to have support from family where I wasn't told I was crazy, where there was no negativity in that way. But there was that energy of be careful, the dark side. Don't go too deep into all that intuitive work, Vanessa, because it's the dark side will get you, or this will happen, etc. And so what I would do is I would really listen to my intuition, but then I'd be scared and pull away. Now, when I was 16 years old, I was exploring the Ouija board, and my mom asked me to bring it home to experiment because I don't know if she truly completely believed me, honestly. And so she blindfolded me and then flipped it around just in case I had memorized the board, because she knew that I could memorize things quickly and had a good memory. And so what came out of that experience at the age of 16, being blindfolded and having the Ouija board spun around so I didn't really know where it was that I started to feel and sense and hear information. At 16 years old, which is over 30 years ago, my mind blew open, my eyes, my third eye really came onto the stage fully, because I saw images. I saw a woman with red hair by a river with a little child crying and telling my mom, take care of him, take care of him. And she was referring to my father. I had no idea who this woman was. I saw another woman, and I could tell she was from Argentina. That's where my family comes from. And she was telling us about my cousin not having to show up at a certain day to work, that something bad would happen if he showed up. And so there were all these things that came through. A gentleman with a big hat and a plume feather, and he was speaking with a Castilian accent, right, from Spain. Pues España, speaking like he was from Spain. And I'm like, who is this man? And so when we finished, my mom asked me to take the blindfold off. And when I did, she showed me the picture of my father, and then pulled out from behind a picture of a red-haired woman. She said, that woman that you saw by the river with a little child, crying and wet, who's telling you to tell me to take care of him, was his ex-girlfriend. So Imagine that. Big shocker, big wake-up call to, hey, Vanessa, you can see, feel, and know and hear information that you have no idea how you're perceiving it, and you can even talk to people that are not here anymore. So at 16, I started reading people, and at first, it was a little begrudgingly. I didn't really want to do it because I was 16, and there were people in their 40s, 50s, even 60s coming to get business advice and life advice. And I was like, oh my God, I just want to live. And so I lied. And I said, hey, I lost my powers. And after that, I stayed away, but I kept reading and learning and growing. I kept trying to just find anything that could help me grow, because think about it, over 30 years ago, we didn't have the information that we have today. So at 19, my guides showed up, and I started working with them, and they started training me. And some of the techniques that I share with people in the 8-week program that I'm going to talk about is also a part of the training that they gave me. So I've really used this. I live it and I breathe it, right? Now, there may be some of you now watching this, listening to this, and they're like, oh, please, I've had experiences like that too, Vanessa, and, I have intuition. But I want to ask you, are you using your intuition? Are you leveraging your intuition so you can, up-level your career? Are you using it for your health? Are you using it to pick the right partners that are in alignment? Are you using your intuition in your business, in your work? If the answer is no to all of them, but yet you tell me, well, Vanessa, I have intuition, I know it, I don't need to hear the rest of this video, I would say, well, you do. Because the truth is that we're all intuitive. We've all had, really amazing, vibrant, brilliant moments of passionate intuition that kicks in, or even subtle intuition that guides us somewhere. But most of us have issues or problems or even fears or challenges around really understanding what kind of intuitive we are, how our intuition works, what to do with it so it can be reliable, and how to actually use it in everyday life. So that's why if you tell me, Vanessa, I have intuition, really ask yourself, are you really rocking that intuition? Are you really working it? Are you able to use it? Or are you in a position of powerlessness with your intuition where you're like, well, it comes, it doesn't come, I ask, I don't know, I don't feel, sometimes it doesn't happen when I need it. Because the way that I apply my intuition, it comes through every single time. Okay, I'm not lying, I'm not joking. The way that I've cultivated my intuition and supported other people in cultivating their intuition is that it will come through for you every single time. And I believe that that's why we've been given this amazing gift. And so if we want to define intuition, I think about it, feel into it as knowing without knowing how we know, right? And Carolyn Mace, New York Times bestselling author, medical intuitive, says that it's being able to read and access and understand translogical information. And so that is that we're able to pick up invisible information. And if you feel into that, think about that as well. We are created as human beings. We are made of energy. So of course, we're walking, talking beings that can understand and send and receive invisible information. The trick is, how do we read this information so we can make the best of it? How do we read this information so we can truly, really apply it? And that's where we all get stuck. Now, most of us don't get stuck on the fact that we're intuitive. Most of us don't get stuck on the fact that we know that we have a feeling about a person, and that usually comes true. We don't get stuck on the fact that sometimes we have crazy, wild dreams that really are trying to tell us something. We all know that. We know we're intuitive. But how do we apply this in a way that we can trust our intuition, that we can continue going back to it, and truly, that eventually we won't even really need an intuitive or a psychic to guide us, even though I always like to do it at least once a year, right, for me anyway, because we'll be our own guru, we'll be our own psychic. We'll be able to go within to our higher self, to our angels and our guides, and be able to connect to the truth of what we're seeking. So often people ask me, Vanessa, and I've been a psychic now over 20 years, part-time most of my life, but really full-time now over 5 years as I stepped into the online world. And so people ask me, Vanessa, how, what is your most amazing gift? Is it clairvoyance? Is it clairaudience? Clairvoyance is the ability to see clearly. Clairaudience is the ability to hear. I'm also a medium, so I receive information from people who've crossed over and also guides. And I read the Akashic records, really, that are they are the chronicles of the soul. So there's so many different areas. I'm also an empath, so I feel emotionally. And they say, Vanessa, what is your greatest gift? And I say, you know what my greatest gift is? It's surrender. right? And that's where a lot of intuitives are having issues. A lot of people say to me, Vanessa, I surrendered into the wrong thing and I thought this person was my person and it's not my person. Now I'm freaking out and I don't trust my intuition. Or Vanessa, my intuition told me to go this way and I wasn't clear. I didn't know how to do it. And so for me, I've learned certain techniques and a certain process to be able to surrender each time and to receive the guidance that really has saved my life. Now, it saved my life in being able to choose the right doctor because I had, 20 fibroids in 2012. I also was in a car accident, and about 5 minutes before, I was told to move my leg so I wouldn't break my back. I was told to ask my mom if she had her seatbelt on, which she did not. Had I not been told to ask my mom to put her seatbelt on because I was sleeping, she would not be here today, because that we did have a car accident and we were rolling. And because I sat up, I'm not in a wheelchair right now. I don't have a broken back and I'm actually alive. So my intuition has come in for me, not only for that, but also for love, for guiding my business, being able to pick my doctors, being able to heal. Last year, I really was burnt out with many things that I was doing. I didn't even know it because I was working so much. And I wound up having hypothyroidism. I sat down crying, sobbing, because there was so much to be done and I didn't want to be sick. And I asked my higher self, my guides, what do I need to do? What do I need to shift? And they told me. And within the week I did it. And it was a hefty list. I had to release many people from my life. I had to let go of things that I was involved with that were sapping my energy. And once I was able to do that, it happened really within a week. And not with anger or upset, but with grace and ease and peace. And some fear. And as I released all of that, my 6 months later, when I went back to the doctor without taking the medication, my hypothyroidism was balanced out. And then I went back again and it was still balanced out. So I'm not telling everyone not to take meds and ask their guides. But what I'm sharing with you is that when you know that you can trust your intuition, when you have techniques that are as easy as breathing, right, at the tip of your fingertips, you'll be able to leverage this amazing gift that you were given. And the truth is that now, more than ever, we truly need to be able to leverage this gift. And why? And I've been saying this since I first came on online, right? When I first came on online, I was the urban priestess. There were not a lot of priestesses out. There were not, and I'm not the first by any means. There are many grandmothers and people who've walked before me. But a lot of people weren't proclaiming it, weren't honest, weren't saying, hey, I've studied to be a priestess, I'm a priestess, and I am a channel to connect to the divine. When I first came out, I said very powerfully that intuition was going to be the key to shifting our lives. And why is that? We're seeing it now in 2017. So in the last 5 years, when I said we need to understand our intuition because we're losing faith in our governments, we're losing faith in our structures and our institutions. We used to be able to have a job, right, for the rest of, start at 20s and be able to retire from that job. Now, for most entrepreneurs, that's not a dream, but there are people who still want that stability, and yet we don't have access to it anymore, right? So who do we believe, especially with the media, with everything that's happening right now in the world? And that's why I believe that your intuition is the key. When we don't know where to turn, where this one says this thing, the other one says the other thing, your coach may say this, your other guide may say that, who do you trust? And so for me, it's you trust yourself. You trust your inner alignment, not your ego fearful self that's going to be like, do that out of fear, or your ego fearful self that's going to say, do what everybody else is doing so you can make it too. Your intuitive self, your higher self, your guides, your angels. And I believe that one of the ways that we can do it is with my 8-week program. Now, I'm not saying it's the only way, because every time I see people doing any video or anything that says, I am the only way, I'm like, ugh, now I don't like you. So I don't believe that there's ever an only way to do anything. That's why there are as many human beings and as many plant life and as many insects and as many creations on this good earth as there are, because there's so many ways. But I do know that my way, the 8-week program that I have, has been instrumental in lives of many intuitives. It's been instrumental in my life. And one of the key things about this program is that you're going to have modules that come in every week. So there's a module every week for 8 weeks. And then every 2 weeks there is a live call. In that live call, we will practice, we'll do exercises with other people. So you'll be practicing your abilities to read people. I know it sounds scary, but it's actually exciting. And people have discovered they have abilities they never imagined they have, right? And we'll be releasing the fears and releasing the blocks that keep you from being able to surrender in a way that is relaxing, graceful, easeful, to be able to receive the information that you're truly wanting to receive, so you could leverage your intuition into your life and in your business. Now, another thing about this program that I love is that you actually get to work with a seasoned professional. I'm not someone that popped up yesterday. I started reading people, and nothing wrong with that either, right? Because you can be very gifted even if you popped up yesterday, which is wonderful, and I honor that. But at the same time, it's not just about talent. When you pop up yesterday, you may have a lot of talent. What you get when you're working in the trenches, what you get when you are working with thousands of clients. I've read over 10,000 people now. I'm one of those people that can read more than anyone, and that's not a competition, but I've honed that energy. I've honed that ability to be so centered that I've even done 40 readings in a day, obviously not full hour ones, right? And still was able to stand up and walk out. So it's not about reading a million people, but what I'm saying is that I've honed my techniques, that I can be so centered, so clear, that I could do several readings a day, still show up, still create, still do videos, still do what I do, and still have a life. Because there's this whole feeling about being intuitive and an empath that we're going to be drained, exhausted, because that's been our experience. So that's another highlight of this program, which is that you will receive a very special module. I believe it's module 3, Energy Healer. And we will talk about and explore different techniques so that you can receive the information that you actually need using your intuitive system, and then let go of the rest, right? So we don't have to be weighed down. And every time I hear an empath crying about how they're suffering, I just want to shake them and go, please, please listen to my module 3, because it changed my life, right? When I was young, even though I was already reading people and a professional psychic since I'm 22, I used to get on trains and be overwhelmed. I used to go into nightclubs. I couldn't go into nightclubs in my early 20s. I was overwhelmed, exhausted. I was like, I cannot take this anymore. There's too many people. When I was able to develop some of these techniques, I was able to just walk through a nightclub, and even worked, working in events in nightclubs, because I had that technique in place. So just know that we don't have to suffer as empaths. And if you're telling yourself you know how to use your intuition, and yet you're still stumbling around and feeling helpless and hopeless, no, you know that you have intuition, but you're not knowing how to really use it. And so my really special invitation to you is that if you feel called to explore this program, if you feel called to know more, and I love it because when I created this program in 2014, which I've tweaked over the years, I said to myself, Vanessa, what would you have liked to receive when you first started, right? And there's also another module where you get to explore past lives, because I feel that sometimes we're afraid of our intuitive abilities because of the past lives, right? That, we've been a psychic, a healer, we've been burned as a witch. So by exploring those past lives and healing them, it can allow you to be your full intuitive self that you know that you were meant to be. And so I could go on and on about each of them, because there's a clairvoyant one, there's a clairaudience one, we will be developing mediumship, there's so much to it, and even a special call on Akashic Records, so you can learn more about that. So if you feel called, if you feel excited about really spending 8 weeks with me and also amazing other people who will be joining us and exploring their intuition and really getting solid support, guidance, love, because I love my people up, okay? I love my people up, and then some, and then some. If you want to spend that time, check out my special offer at intuitiveleverage.com. So what's happening here is that usually this program is selling for $497. Then it usually goes up to $597, then $697. But I'm doing a very, very, very special offer of only $297, right? And the program is starting very, very soon. So that's one of the reasons I'm giving the special offer. I've been so busy this year that I haven't had a chance to promote, but I really do want to teach it because it's my 8th year online running this program. So again, if you feel called, check out intuitiveleverage.com. There's a very special offer. It's only going to be up for a couple of days. I'll have the dates actually on the page. And if you have any questions, truly reach out. My assistant's name is Kristen, and she is at support@vanessacodorniu.com. If you want to talk to me before you buy it, let's talk. If you want to buy it and just join us, please join us. Oh, we have a Facebook group. So I will be hopping on in the Facebook group, and I will be actually even doing lives to answer questions. So you've got a professional psychic who's been doing this work full time. I don't do any other work. I do the work that I do. I read entrepreneurs, I read creatives, and then I support them using hypnosis to heal and release things that are blocking them, right, and holding them back. And then I do trainings to help them thrive and grow in their businesses, in their life, and in their intuition. So my intuition made me do all of this, even this video. So sending you also love and lots of love, and I hope that your intuition is guiding you to connect and that we may work together. Sending you love. Bye-bye.